Welcome to Attican Plays Railway Empire.
All right, welcome back to part two of our third pass at the free mode playthrough. And in the last one, just to catch us up, we have interesting objectives. We really wanted to find some objectives that were different from what we've been doing and were more challenging. And I think we've managed that. We're playing against hard computer opponents, which doesn't seem to make them terribly hard. And pardon me. The fun one here, make Grand Rapids the largest population. So we have to go out to Grand Rapids and make it the biggest city of all by 1856. That's pretty early. But it doesn't have to stay that way. We have to connect a bunch of people, company value. Then the big one, this one, we're going to be passenger focused rather than mail, as we were on the second pass through this. So let me go back here and pause. I'm feeling pretty, maybe cocky even about the hitting this with a president level. So I'm going to do a couple of things just because I think there's some good concepts we could go over here. So I'm going to actually cost myself some stuff with some deletions, and I'm going to need some funds to be able to do all this playing I want to do. So I'm going to do something else. We've got to make express between Baltimore and Jacksonville. Now that would be a good money maker. So we're going to go ahead and set that up first. And I'm even going to take that as an opportunity to show you something I think that's worth knowing. In fact, I'm going to cheat on this one. I'm going to do a save point right here. I'll just illustrate it a mildly different way. I had a thought of running. Here's Jacksonville way down here, and we don't own. We have a competitor in there right now. As you know, that could change quickly. In fact, I think that might, just to get him out of the way. But we've got a Jacksonville station, and we're going to have to run a train line all the way through the south, all the way through southeastern United States, all the way up to the mid-Atlantic area to Baltimore. And it needs to be a nonstop line. Now, it could go through stations. It just can't stop. So one of the things I've toyed with is just literally going through the Norfolk station, because if you look here, we really kind of want to get, unless we want to tear out this line, we kind of want to get over to this side, over to the Chesapeake Bay side of the track here, to be able to run through or past Washington into Baltimore. But we're kind of running, we don't want to be island hopping and build 14 bridges. So we want to get over here close and run through. So we have two ways we could do that. The obvious way, we've done it before in other ones, is just go around like this and around and come back in as tight as we can, into our line and hook up and run on up to Baltimore. Or we could also go through this station and bump this guy over a little bit. But I want to show you something that really is something you need to be aware of, and it's probably a good example of why you want to have, ideally, a station dedicated to passengers, and a passenger station, and a station dedicated to freight, a freight station in each city, because you really get some interesting behaviors. So I want to show that. So this is going to cost me some money, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead and do this first. So I want to show you what can happen. Now I got to let that train get out of the way. Okay, I think we can do it now. All right, so I'm going to scoot this line over, pardon me, over a couple, over to here. So I'm going to have to delete. And I'll try not to mess this up. Let's see. All right, he's still using that section of track. If he'll go away without another train coming, if I can time it. There we go. Now, I'm going to delete back here a little ways, give myself some room. And I want to divert this over to this, what would be platform number 2. And put our signals back in so the line will still function properly. Okay, so Now, let's just let it run for a second, make sure these trains are happy. They are. So our Baltimore to Norfolk line, which is what this is still working properly. But let's say, for example, we wanted to run a freight line out of the station, and we wanted to exchange freight between, and you know what, rather than waste all this money, I'm going to make a save point right here. I don't typically do this, but I'm going to save. So we can come back to that because this is all going to be throwaway what I'm about to do. This is for let's call this for teaching purposes only. We're going to make a line, if we can. There we go. That runs these bridges. Bridges are such a pain. You can't double up the bridges, so you have to. There's the bridge. You have to build a bridge next to it, and then you can scooch back over. So, build a bridge. And then wind our way merrily into Baltimore. And that curve is getting a little tight on us here. There. Let's see. Okay, and let's double track that back. Okay, now we've got a line going from Norfolk, another line going from Norfolk to Baltimore. In fact, I don't even think I need to do anything else. I'll just illustrate this. I think I can show you just from this. Let's watch what happens. Oh, look, see? Look at this. Okay. It's already blown up. The whole system blew up. Now, why did it blow up? Because this train right here is a Norfolk to Baltimore one that used to run on these two lines. But if you kind of envision a straight line going up from here to here, you can see how this set of tracks over here to the right, this far right track, is the closest, most direct route to Baltimore. So the engine of the game says, hey, there's a closer way to get to Baltimore. So all these trains that were running on these two lines over here are going to jump over to this line right here. Well, first of all, as you can see, we haven't set up signals, so this train is waiting on these trains over here, which have also jumped over. So now we've got trains facing each other over this long haul, and they can't move. Why? Because they're all wanting to run on this lane. So if we went in and set our signals, they would run. So, right? So if I set up a signal here and put one at the other end, like so, it says drive on the right side, both of you. Now, all those trains have jumped over. They're waiting to be queued up. And we haven't even built any other trains yet. We still got all these guys waiting for all these other trains. And what's he waiting on? He's waiting for, what is he waiting for? At any rate, you can see we had this beautiful line that was working just fine. And now, just because we added another track, it doesn't work anymore. Now, imagine if we had gone through built that line, and then started pumping trains into this line we thought we could use. Now we've got 8 trains running here that have now moved over here. We add, say, 6 or 8 more for freight or whatever else it is we wanted to do. We've got too many trains on this line. Now we've got another problem, because even if we got them running, they would all die because there wouldn't be enough space for them to run in. So how do you avoid this? Well, first of all, it is conceivable we could have gone in, if we had set up this line right here, if we had done this kind of thing, if we'd said set line Baltimore and use track 1, platform 1, then and go to what have I done here? See, what? Uh-oh, now what's going on? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean track 1. Track 1 isn't even connected. Track 2 to Baltimore. Now, if you look at his route, see, he's taking this route over here. So had we explicitly set up that other line to run out of this track 2 in the first place, then we wouldn't have this issue, and we could go ahead and set up our line. But even that, we'd want to be explicit again. The point being, it's going to go find the closest route and run on it, whether you like that or not. And most of the time, unless you plan for it, you won't like it. You will not like it. So I just wanted to cover that concept, because so you could either get in the habit of naming your routes or your lanes, which I think it's an awful lot of work. Because think about it another way. I use these little, I call them point-to-point lines, where they come in and they only go to one platform. I do that very specifically to avoid this kind of problem. But what we're seeing here is, if I have another line running between those same 2 stations, I still have a problem. I still have a potential problem that could really, if you didn't know what was going on, it would literally drive you crazy. It could cause you to say, I'm not playing this game, it's broken. Well, it's not broken. It's just that it's going to optimize, take the closest route, and mess you up big time. So that's one thing I wanted to cover. And again, you avoid it by, the other way to avoid this, by the way, this is just from station to station. These routes are not Norfolk City to Baltimore City. It's this Norfolk station called Norfolk to this Baltimore station called Baltimore. If we put another station in here, it would be called Norfolk 1 or whatever we want to call it, Norfolk Freight, whatever we want to call it if we wanted to rename it. And if we ran a line that went parallel to this, or went up, even if we went one real expensive one with kind of our archipelago or peninsula hopping here, and went right up the Chesapeake Bay up into Baltimore, even though it was clearly a closer line, a train trying to go from this Norfolk station to this Norfolk station would not take that line, because it would be coming out of a different station over here into that station. So in Baltimore, the same station in Baltimore. So either use a different station or explicitly name your lines which platforms to use, or you're going to have some interesting problems. So I hope you found that useful. I hope you found that helpful. Now I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to roll back to where I was before I started talking about this. I don't need that autosave. I need this guy right here. We'll load him back in and start back up. Okay, now we're back where we were before, I guess right after I made the change. Okay, cool. Right after I switched the tracks. But everything's running fine, and we're back to almost exactly where we were. We did move these trains over, but no big deal. Okay, so I have another concept I want to go over with, and we're going to do that up in the Grand Rapids area. We could do it down here in Jacksonville, but I want to talk to it down here. So what we need this Baltimore to Jacksonville connection. And this is going to help us to talk about yet another concept, which I keep messing up. And thanks to Ridgeback 68 and to Magnus for making great comments about this and reminding me yet again about the cars, the special cars you can put on trains. So we're going to talk about those a little bit and cover that. Hopefully I won't mess it up this time. So I need some money to do the thing I want to do in Grand Rapids. And that being said, I'm going to build this big line that goes from Baltimore all the way down to Jacksonville. And by the way, if we wanted to, if you look at this space, it's getting tight in here. We could probably get 2 more tracks in there, but we're running out of room before we have to start hopping between all this water that's coming in from the ocean, from the Chesapeake Bay, and that's going to be expensive. But I think we're okay. We can do one more. Now, one option we would have, we could actually run our line. Well, we won't do that, but we could actually run our line through here. We could run it through a single point and just kind of tie it off and make, treat each side like a giant passing lane. The south going down would be a big giant lane that would come together here and then go back out. And there'd be very little delay because they would just blow right through the station. That'd be one way to do it. Another way to do it is to go around. I think we're going to go around. You can see the red. We don't have to even go out too awful far. We can cut back. We may have to build one extra bridge, but that's so be it. And we'll go around just because it's nice to leave those tracks open for other things, obviously. It's a shame to tie them up with traffic. And the other thing we could do, by the way, if we wanted to sacrifice 2 of them, we could actually have this one go through, this right one, track 4, could go through as our right-hand lane, and track 3 could be our return lane, our left-hand lane, as we're looking at it this way. And the trains will just fly right through the station, pass right by, and it'll be a nonstop passage. So that's a possibility. But let's just go around a more traditional way. And I think what we want to do here, this yellow person, our yellow competitor, who is that? That is Jonathan Johnson. I think I'd like to buy him. It cost me $4 million, but I would like to get him out of the way and make this cleaner. So let's just see how much money we could raise. All right, we're at $4 million. What would it cost to buy our buddy? I have to wait for this. Yeah, okay. Boom. Okay. Jonathan, it's been a pleasure doing business with you. Okay. So Jonathan is gone. We actually went negative on our funds for a moment, but we'll catch back up here in a minute. Now we own Jacksonville and Charleston and et cetera, et cetera. And interestingly enough, we have to do a line now because we have to connect these. So I'm going to let this run for a little bit so we can gather some funds. It's going to cost us some money to build this line. And we're going to skip all these other ones and just build straight from Jacksonville to Baltimore because we know we need that line. So let's go down here. And it's nice. He left us a nice station with repair. That's nice. We're going to make it a large station. We want quick turnaround. We'll run a line out of here. And now we're going to run this line all the way up the coast, sort of like an I-9. If you're familiar with the eastern part of the U.S., this would be what is now the I-95 corridor, they call it. It's a big interstate that runs from, oh gosh, up in the New England states all the way down to Florida. And I didn't mean to stop there, but we can keep that. Okay. And let's go around Charleston so we don't interfere with any growth we might want to do in Charleston later. And I did it again. Okay. I think we're going to go swing up here a little bit so we don't. Okay. I'd like to go to the south and hug the water a little bit. So again, I want to go to the south and east of Wilmington so that we're not cutting it off from any potential growth. The truth is, in this one, we're probably not going to ever get to developing those, but that's okay. I do want to leave that option open. Okay, now we can either go up here and try to swing around. I think we're going to have to bite the bullet and build one fairly slightly more expensive bridge just so that we don't have a big swooping turn. Yeah, there we go. That's going to cost a little bit. But not bad. And overall, this isn't costing us too much. So we'll cut it in as close to Norfolk as we can. Oh, that's beautiful. And come back in. And if it weren't for all these bridges, we would hug the combination of the bridge and the tower makes it a pain. Ooh, did that work? Goodness, that did work. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. Let's keep that. We'll need some money to keep that, so you can see how fast our money comes back to us. So our economy clearly is doing well right now. So let's hug our lines, take advantage of our supplies until we get to this next bridge up here. And we'll work our way across it like so. Swoop around Washington, and we've already seen this little bit because we did it just a little bit ago. We have to come out a little bit to make it work. Okay. And we need a little more money. Okay, there's one way. Let's go the other way. And let's just see if this will just go all the way down here and lock into place. And no, it won't. And why won't it? It's just having a hard time getting started. I think we need to come out a little bit more. There, now let's see if it'll lock all the way down. This is a pretty long bridge. Pardon me. It's about close to almost 600 miles. So beautiful. Locked right in place for us. Okay, now we have, once we have a little bit more money, it would be nice to have a faster train to put on this. I'd love to have the Rogers American. Where is it? Right there. I got by a neighbor. Here's a neighbor. So we'll buy this one next, and we may even hold off a second and set them up that way. So all these express lines are in danger because we've got a faster train. But oh, sorry, we got plenty of money. 685 miles. All right. That's a good bridge. That's a good trip. All right, so we missed a couple of the supply towers, so let's make sure we've got, and we don't have any down here, of course. So, trying to learn my lesson and not put those supply towers right next to the bridges, since that makes for some very awkward train track laying. And we missed that guy. So, oh, right next to the bridge, of course. All right, so let's put in our signals. Okay, now we have this big giant line running from, can't even get it all in the screen, all the way zoomed out, from Baltimore to Jacksonville. So let's set it up. It's going to be express only, and we are going to, well, we're not going to worry about emphasis, but we are going to make sure that we put the car on it. And maybe if it had two stations, it would do better. So we're going to add this guy here. Slow down. And we want to put the dining car, which gives us 20% ticket revenue increase. Beautiful, beautiful. So now that train just got 20% better than it was, so to speak. And we'll set one going the other way. Make sure it has a dining car as well. Now we can start duplicating these guys. There we go. And we're going to run a lot of trains. 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They haven't met each other yet, so let's keep going. 13, 14. They still haven't met each other. 15, 16. They're about to come together. Let's do 2 more. 17 and 18. Now that line should just absolutely pump out money. Got 18 trains. We probably could put even some more on there, but that's okay. 18 is enough for now. All right, so we've got a great line there. It's going to make us a ton of money, hopefully a ton of passenger money. It certainly should. And let's go think about what else do we want to do. We want to build Grand Rapids. Now I want to talk about another concept. Okay. When we set up first started building Grand Rapids, we just ran lines in there. Boom, 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 boom. So we've got corn coming from way back over this way, up here and around. We've got wheat coming in, we've got wood coming in, and we've got actually veggies coming in from the backside. So you can see it's growing right now, but it's kind of sporadic. It's growing great right now. What happened? Why is it growing so well? Well, it's got plenty of logs. It's got plenty of wheat, and I could throw a well, shoot, I may ruin my own demonstration here. I can throw a museum in here, and this little baby will take off. We're at 75,000, and I believe we're not quite the biggest yet, and we could even go look if we want to really be. We're at 75,000. I have a suspicion our competition would be New York. Let's just see. 70,000. No, we've already passed them. We will not we can put a museum there. We will not yet. That's not it. Where's our biggest city? Certainly not Baltimore, is it? No, we haven't bothered with Baltimore yet. No, I don't see a city. Well, how big's Jacksonville? No. Don't see a city that's big enough to be bigger. Oh, unless it's Toledo. That was a base. There we go. Toledo's 82,000 and growing. So here's what we're going to do. Oh, good. The orange guy is feeding Toledo, right? So what if Beatrice were to leave us? She's at 6.5 million. So we're doing great here. Grand Rapids is growing. In fact, it's doing too well. Turkey's messing up my whole thing I was going to show you. I want to talk about the warehouses, but I'll do it anyway. But it's going so well here. 77. We're very, very close. I think it's between these two cities right now. 82.8 and 56%. So good. We should blow Toledo away because I don't think Toledo. How is it that they don't have a museum, so they're not getting the bonus? All right. So anyway, we will blow them out of the water, and I'm not going to start talking about the this line until that very thing I'm talking about happens. And I want to do something else here. And I can't do it until I buy her off. So we can either buy her, what would we say, 6.6 million. You notice I like to do it in one fell swoop. I like to just buy them in a gulp rather than buy. Oh, here we can get the Rogers American. There's something we can do with our money. Let's take this guy. Now here's where 19 trains. Let's make those all Rogers Americans. And they need to fix that as well because I think anything that's marked express goods only should be a Rogers American. And let me see what this is now. Oh, it did get it. Okay, good. But we have more than 19 trains running express goods only. So I'm a little skeptical as to whether all our trains got updated with that. But anyway, 81.7. We're just in hold mode here until this. 83.1. Let me see if I can buy her. $7 million. She's getting stronger. I'm gonna buy a bunch of her. Oh, sorry. It probably made a horrible noise, didn't it? Now we need 2.4 million to buy out the rest of her. Let's just see if we can't get that with some funding. So what I did there is I close those out, and then I'm going to reissue bonds, which gives me more money. I end up with net more money because I can issue bigger bonds. And then bye-bye Beatrix and goodbye, dear. Okay, so now we bought out all three of our competitors and we got all this stuff, and that's awesome because now we've got this nice big line here that we can put all these employees in. Look at this money, 251. That's fairly good. Let's start putting people on this line and make that money even more. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. That's okay. Ooh, so let's go this way. Definitely want an accountant. Definitely want a surveyor. Good, good, good. All right, so that was worthwhile. Got us some nice staff. Okay, what are we looking at? Now we're at 94,092. I think. Let's see if we. Yes, we've passed them. That took us across the threshold. And the timing was a little off there. Had I been able to buy her a little faster, what we would have done is, see, she's been choked off now because all this stuff down here, it's blue now. It belongs to us. But this was all Beatrix's stuff. And because we bought it, all the trains get sold off. So there's no trains running. So the supplies for Toledo have now dried up. So their demand sat, see, it's at 44. It's gone into the toilet. She also passed, in fairness to it, they also passed another milestone. So the demands are going up. She needs more stuff. The city needs more stuff, but it's not getting anything. So its demand satisfaction went down while we kept this one up, and now we can even put a third business in there. And I'm going to do something interesting here, I think. Well, I think it's interesting to me anyway. Believe it or not, I'm going to put meat in here. You would think, oh, go put some cool industry you don't have or something, but I'm going to put meat. I'm going to put a meat factory in there, and I'll explain that in a minute. Now, in fact, honestly, this has grown so fast. I didn't anticipate it growing quite that fast. So we've passed what I think was one of the harder objectives of Grand Rapids. Now we've got to get our grain, build up our company values. Won't be any problem. We've got this one. All we need to do is have the trains, one of them become an express train, which should happen anytime. And we could even manipulate that if we want to. Okay, so let me stop here for a second. So we've got this, started setting up the building here, and it worked. You can see it worked. We just moved some stuff in, and it grew. But there were a lot of times, and we didn't get really a chance to look at them, but right here, we've got it queued up. What is this guy? This is a logs. We've got logs queued up to come in. And we've got, we're decent on logs right now, but if this kept happening, we would find ourselves short on logs because we've got all these trains coming into the same spot, because it's getting tight here. Remember, we didn't have this second station at the time. So what I want to talk about now is, why would you use a warehouse? And I want to give you two great reasons. One is, if we had a warehouse out here somewhere, or it could be even here, it could be really close to Grand Rapids, but out here somewhere, all these different raw materials could feed that warehouse, and we could build up, and we could set all the demand to 99, which means that all these are sensing that there's a 99 demand for those products, and they would start pumping. We could start pumping goods into the warehouse. Then we could have a line running to Grand Rapids, whether it was a short one from here, or if we had our warehouse here, a longer one, but it doesn't matter. We could run our goods into Grand Rapids, and the perfect thing would be if we only used one line to do it, each train would load at the warehouse with what Grand Rapids needs, not just what it happens to be bringing in. See, in this scenario, if Grand Rapids have to be low on wood at a certain point, but we had wheat and corn queued up ahead of the wood, wheat and corn would come in there. But if a train gets to a warehouse and we're low on wood, wood is going to go to Grand Rapids. So that's from the supply side. You do that first of all to simplify your route, so you're not taking up extra spaces, extra tracks in your city, your target city, and secondly to allow the trains running into the city to be selective and take the right things into that city. Now, in a minute, after I get through doing some fairly major changes here, we'll talk about demand and these factories and how we want to look at the utilization and make sure we can understand that and manipulate that to our advantage. So I'm going to stop recording right here and do some building, and I'll just give you a preview. What I'm going to do is kind of rip some of this stuff out and put a warehouse in and set up what I would think is a more elegant solution. At least it's going to be prettier, and then we'll go from there. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back pretty fast. I just realized how long this is getting. We're already over 40 minutes, so I'm going to cut this one off. We're going to cut off part 2 at this point, and what we accomplished basically and all that. Well, we talked about some interesting concepts with the optimization of the routes and troubles that can cause when we looked at that Norfolk to Baltimore line, and we built our big long express goods only line from Baltimore to Jacksonville, and we showed dining cars, and we've got this line going here making us buku bucks. So all is well there. And in fact, let's just let it go to another quarterly report and see if how much that helped us with our mail, our our passenger revenue. Remember, that's our big accomplishment for this one. So there, we've got another quarterly report. Let's take a look at that. All right, passengers 2.75 million. Actually went down a little bit, but a little bit of a fluke, and also most of that was time. A lot of that time was construction. So we'll see how that goes later on. We're definitely going to have to work on our passengers. But let's stop here. Let me go do some building, and then we'll pick it back up in part 3. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helps you become a better player, and I hope you'll join us for our next Railway Empire video. Thank you.